Earlier this year, when so many millions of us were confined to our homes, newspapers and TVs and phones filled with images of the abandoned world beyond our walls, a world built by us, for us, without us. It was odd, eerie, the kind of imagery you only ever see in post-apocalyptic movies. City centers, normally crowded with bodies, empty, except for some hungry and probably deeply confused pigeons. It reminded me of the paintings of Giorgio de Chirico, an Italian artist who was a founder of the metaphysical art movement. In 1909, de Chirico was sitting on a bench in the Piazza Santa Croce in Florence, recovering from an intestinal illness, when all of a sudden he had a profound experience. The whole world, down to the marble of the buildings and fountains, seemed to me to be convalescent. De Chirico glimpsed a reality behind appearances in which everything was healing like he was. From that experience came this painting, The Enigma of an Autumn Afternoon, which reproduces the Piazza Santa Croce but with a few changes. Most notably, the basilica facade is stripped of all its detail and its shape is altered. It appears also to be only the facade. You can see through the tops of the doors to the blue sky beyond. The structure behind it has disappeared. In the actual piazza, a statue of Dante stands in front of the basilica. In this version, the statue's head has disappeared too, and its position has been moved. Beside it, two small, lonely figures stand together, casting long shadows in the unusually empty square. The enigma here is in the relationship between de Chirico's impression that day in the piazza and the painting it ultimately produced. This and all the plazas in his Metaphysical Town Square series are simplified, empty, cut with dramatic shadows. They feature recurring motifs like those heavy shadows, or Roman arcades, or statues in the foreground, tall cylindrical buildings in the background, and trains in the distance. These are spaces we know, but they're rendered dreamlike by de Chirico's compositions. The revelation he feels can't be communicated by a realistic depiction of the world, or for that matter, a realistic depiction of vision. He admired the Impressionists and the Pointillists for their experimentation, but believed they didn't go far enough. To see reality without the mediating filter of our ideas about it, the world must be made new for the viewer, and to make the world new, it must be made strange. The artist must live in the world as if in an immense museum of strangeness, full of curious, multicolored toys which can change their appearance. It was the strangeness of de Chirico's paintings, their mystery and hallucinatory quality, that made him such an influence on the Surrealists. They too wanted to capture a world of dream logic, in which something profound could arise from irrational juxtapositions and spontaneous creation. In 1924, the year Breton published the Surrealist Manifesto, de Chirico traveled to Paris and was accepted into the group. But by then he had moved on from his metaphysical phase and returned to older forms of painting. The Surrealists trashed his new work, and de Chirico cut ties with them in an acrimonious split. He kept working through the rest of his life, all 90 years of it, but as is often the case, never enjoyed the same success he did during his early period. But it is those early works, those bizarre, melancholy town squares, that came to my mind when the coronavirus tore through the world and cleared our public spaces of people. For a little while, cities and towns became immense museums of strangeness, and it was possible to see what we built through alien eyes. What kind of species would make such monuments? What drove them to design their world like this? What forces and desires gathered them into communities of such extreme density? And are they satisfied with what they've made for themselves? In a year of such pain and suffering, these images offered a small but unique gift of reflection, the kind of reflection that de Chirico sought to spark with his work. Though the pandemic isn't over, our spaces are already filling back up. Soon enough, we'll pick up the routines we dropped in March, and the built world will fade again into the background of our lives. I'm ready for that, as I'm sure you are too. But every once in a while, these images, like those paintings, will resurface, and we'll remember that time when our world became profoundly strange. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching and congratulations on getting through this year. This episode was sponsored by NordVPN. NordVPN allows you to take control of your online experience by being an intermediary when you connect to the internet either through their app or their Chrome extension. They have thousands of servers in over 60 countries that protect your privacy by hiding your IP address from prying eyes. Also, if you're running out of shows to stream during this pandemic, using NordVPN allows you to access region-specific content from anywhere in the world. For example, if you live in the US, you can't watch the Edgar Wright-directed sitcom Spaced. Highly recommended. But with NordVPN, you can switch your server to the UK, and there you go. It's available. NordVPN has a special holiday plan for my viewers right now. Every purchase of a 2-year plan gets you 68% off plus an additional 4 months for free. And this deal is only available for a limited time. So if you want to get yourself a VPN for the holidays, go to nordvpn.com/nerdwriter or use the offer code Nerdwriter.